Imagine just for a moment that every challenge you've faced, every triumph you've celebrated, and every person you've ever loved or lost was never random. How would you feel if you discovered that you had chosen all of it? That before you were born, you had already selected your family, your soulmate, even the very struggles you're navigating right now. Here's the twist: there's a way out of this entire cycle. The Wheel of Life, also known as the cycle of reincarnation, is a sacred and esoteric system reflected in many spiritual traditions. It symbolizes the soul's ongoing journey through multiple lifetimes, with each incarnation offering opportunities to grow, learn, and resolve karmic patterns. This journey is not just personal, but part of a greater cosmic design meant to expand consciousness and fulfill the divine will. Many mystical paths, Hermeticism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and even esoteric Christianity, share common beliefs about rebirth. They emphasize free will, yet show how it dances with the law of karma. Through karma, the soul is guided toward specific lessons while still retaining the freedom to align with its higher purpose. Although the physical world is dense and full of dualities, light and shadow, joy and pain, it is precisely within this contrast that the soul refines its divine nature. In response to the call of the infinite, the soul descends into matter to experience these polarities, learning to rise above illusion and remember its true essence. On the journey of the soul, both free will and karma play essential interwoven roles. In the Hermetic tradition and many other esoteric teachings, the soul is not merely a passive traveler, it is a conscious co-creator of its own destiny. The circumstances it encounters are shaped not only by the choices it makes in this life, but also by the karmic echoes of its actions in lifetimes past. Yet karma is not a system of punishment. It is an intelligent spiritual feedback loop designed to teach, to guide, and to restore balance. Each cause carries its effect not as retribution, but as a path to growth. Karma ensures that the soul experiences the consequences of its choices, not to suffer but to awaken. Before incarnating, the soul does not enter this world blindly. The selection of a lifetime is a sacred collaboration between the soul, its spiritual guides, and the vast intelligence of the universe itself. In the mysterious realm known as the interlife, or the space between lives, the soul pauses. It reflects. It reviews its past actions, considers its lessons, and sets its intentions for the future. Spiritual mentors, often ancient and wise, offer insight and clarity, but the final decision always rests with the soul. This reflects the Hermetic principles of sovereignty, accountability, and the divine right to choose one's path. Imagine this: long before you drew your first breath, your soul existed in a realm beyond time, beyond the physical form. Their decisions are made with deep awareness. Contracts are written in light, and destinies begin to take shape. Picture yourself standing before a circle of ancient luminous beings, guardians of knowledge, discussing every possibility your next life could hold. You did not simply select a life, you crafted a journey. You chose the challenges you would face, the people who would love you deeply, and even those who might wound you. Why? Because only through these unique encounters could your soul learn the precise lessons it needs to evolve. No other life, no other path could offer what this one does. But here's where the mystery deepens: you were not alone in this process. Souls are often bound together by timeless connections, karmic ties forged across lifetimes. These bonds form sacred contracts that ripple across existence. Even your soulmate was not a coincidence. That meeting was written long ago, agreed upon before either of you entered the physical plane. Every encounter holds meaning. Every relationship is part of a greater design, a symphony of souls remembering who they truly are. It is most likely that they have traveled this path alongside you through innumerable lives, each of which they have played a unique role. When the soul is in a state of pure awareness, it is closely connected to the source of creation, which is also known as the divine God or universal mind. This level of consciousness occurs before the soul really enters the physical world. When it is in this eternal condition of union, the soul does not have any experiences of duality, limitation, or separation. Nevertheless, even when it is in this condition of joy, the soul has a natural yearning to develop experience and comprehend other things. Because of this yearning, it ultimately manifests itself in the material world, which is full with both obstacles and chances for personal development. This yearning for development and self-discovery is the driving force behind the soul's decision to take on a physical form. In its natural state, the physical world functions as a classroom, providing opportunities to learn about things like feelings, relationships, and difficulties that would otherwise be unattainable. Each individual soul is on a distinct journey, with the primary objective being to acquire particular life lessons, such as compassion, forgiveness, self-love, or courage. As a result of these lessons, the soul is refined, which brings it closer to its divine essence and contributes to the evolution of consciousness. The fulfillment of this mission is not dependent on achieving worldly success. Rather, it is connected to spiritual development and playing a part in the larger cosmic scheme. It is the soul's responsibility to carefully select the conditions that are in alignment with its purpose and the lessons it needs to learn before it embarks on its first incarnation. Physical characteristics, such as hereditary factors, talents, and future health concerns, are selected by the soul based on genetic parameters. These are not chosen at random, but rather adapted to the development of the soul. Through the provision of both challenges and support, the family acts as a foundation for early experiences, so facilitating the acquisition of valuable lessons. As an illustration, a patient who is undergoing soul learning might opt for a family dynamic that is difficult. The experiences and chances for development that the soul engages in are shaped by the cultural, social, and historical context in which it is born. During the course of its development, the soul is able to recognize the people it will come into contact with throughout its lifetime. These persons may include soulmates, mentors, or adversaries. Because of these decisions, the blueprint of the soul is formed, and the first incarnation is the foundational one, with the primary focus being on surviving and comprehending the material world. Over the course of time, the soul acquires the ability to strike a balance between the bodily and spiritual parts. The primordial state of the soul is very different from the physical world, which displays striking contrasts. The soul goes through the process of being separated from its heavenly source as it incarnates, which results in a feeling of duality and isolatedness. This might result in feelings of bewilderment, anxiety, or a yearning for a connection with the divine, which is commonly referred to as homesickness for the divine. The soul must also be able to adjust to physical constraints, such as time, distance, and human emotions, all of which are necessary for its development and progression. The soul is not alone even in the very first incarnation it takes on. The soul is accompanied by spiritual guides, which are entities of light or higher consciousness. These guides provide the soul with support and insight. Despite the fact that these guides offer subtle encouragement and give assistance in navigating the physical sphere, the soul still possesses free will and has the ability to choose whether or not to accept this direction. A profound connection to the divine genesis of the soul is also maintained, and this link can be seen in the form of intuition, dreams, or moments of clarity that serve to remind the soul of its greater purpose and mission. On the other hand, this is where things get even more complicated. What happens beyond this life? In what way does your soul choose the next place it will go? And at what point, if ever, will you be able to completely break free from this cycle? However, before we get into it, let's talk about the decisions that your soul makes after death, when the physical body has passed away. The transfer of the soul into the realm of inner life, also known as the realm between lives, is a condition of pure consciousness that transcends the restrictions of the material world. As the soul enters this stage, it begins to contemplate its past existence, re-establish connections with its spiritual advisors, and start making preparations for its subsequent incarnation. The purpose of this world is not to provide rewards or punishments. Rather, it is a place where learning, growth, and planning can take place. During this phase, one of the most important aspects is the life review, which is when the soul examines its former life from a more expansive and dispassionate perspective. Reliving its acts, ideas, and choices allows the soul to experience the emotional impact that these things have on other people. A more profound comprehension of the repercussions of its actions is fostered through the educational process that is being described here. It assists the soul in recognizing areas in which it has grown and places in which it has lessons that are still incomplete, so preparing the way for future experiences. A significant part of the trip that the soul takes is influenced by karma. Karma is not about punishment. Rather, it is about achieving balance, learning, and developing. There are energetic ripples that are created by every action, thought, and emotion, and these ripples eventually return to the soul. As an illustration, a soul that has caused harm may decide to go through a scenario that is like to the one it caused in its future incarnation in order to cultivate empathy and understanding. Similar to how acts of compassion or generosity can lead to great opportunities and experiences in subsequent lifetimes, so too can actions of generosity. A soul also has the ability to create soul contracts, which are agreements with other souls regarding the dynamics and relationships that will exist in the future existence. These agreements detail important interactions, such as those that pertain to family roles, romantic alliances, or problematic connections, and each one is intended to impart a particular set of lessons. As an illustration, a soul can decide to be born into a specific family in order to acquire the skills of patience or unconditional love to learn. In order to investigate trust and intimacy, two souls can have the intention of meeting as romantic partners. Relationships that are hard, such as those with a competitor or parent who is difficult to deal with, could be structured in order to cultivate forgiveness or resilience. These contracts are adaptable, enabling alterations to be made in accordance with the free will and decisions made by the soul throughout the course of life. Several times souls incarnate with soul groups, which are groupings of souls that are deeply connected to one another and evolve together over the course of several lives. In these organizations, members take on a variety of roles such as family friends, mentors, or even adversaries, depending on the lessons that are required. These groups provide mutual support and create opportunities for growth. Certain souls have exceptionally profound ties with one another, such as soulmates who assist one another in accomplishing their mutual goals, and twin flames who are two sides of the same soul who are looking for harmony and solidarity. Following the completion of the life review and the karmic evaluation, the soul now begins the process of building its subsequent incarnation in a way that is both creative and intentional. This entails making a number of important choices. The soul chooses physical characteristics as gender appearance and even potential health difficulties, all of which are tuned to serve the soul's mission and evolution on every level. It is the soul's responsibility to select a family dynamic that will offer it with the necessary teachings or support. Having a family that is caring, for instance, may assist the soul in developing a sense of self-worth, but having a family that is tough may create resilience and fortitude. The problems and possibilities that the soul will confront are determined by bigger elements such as its socioeconomic condition, culture, and historical period. The soul chooses these factors because they shape the soul. It is possible that certain critical occurrences, like as meeting important individuals confronting life-changing problems or accomplishing milestones, are pre-planned in order to direct the development of the soul. By virtue of its free will, the soul, on the other hand, maintains its capacity for adaptability to changing circumstances. Even though a significant portion of the subsequent life is predetermined, the soul still possesses free will, which enables it to react to the happenings of life in special ways. There is a possibility that additional possibilities will present themselves to a soul in order to ensure that it acquires the lesson that was intended for it. There is a constant adjustment made by the universe to promote the growth of the soul, and it provides the soul with new ways to fulfill its spiritual aspirations. Once all of the preparations have been made, the soul will begin to get ready for reincarnation. In order to accomplish this, the soul must pass through a veil that divides the spiritual and physical realms. This causes the soul to forget its previous existence and the plans it had before it was born. Because of this amnesia, the experiences that the soul has in the material world are able to feel genuine and unplanned when they occur. Even in spite of this, there are still hints that the soul's purpose is still present. Instincts, dreams, or a profound inner calling are all possible manifestations of these. These inner signals and the impact of the soul's spiritual advisors, who continue to be a consistent source of support and wisdom, are what guide the soul every step of the way during its whole existence. The concept of reincarnation can be compared to a school. This is a classroom where you learn lessons, pay off karmic debts, and progress throughout each and every one of your lives. But there is a catch to this. There are certain lessons that you will have to repeat over and over again until you have mastered them. In what ways does your next family come about? The next challenges you face? At this point, everything is dependent on the energy that you have carried forward, the karma that you have built up, and the commitments that you have not yet fulfilled. Freeing oneself from the cycle of rebirth, also known as liberation, does not include fleeing life. Rather, it involves transcending the illusions and limitations that are associated with the material universe. The soul is able to experience unity, peace, and limitless creativity as a result of this, which enables it to exist in harmony with its divine source. Enlightenment, moksha, or ascension are all terms that are used to describe this condition, which is honored in a variety of different spiritual traditions. At no point does attaining enlightenment imply that the soul loses its personality or ceases to exist. The soul, on the other hand, undergoes a complete realization of its divine essence, shedding the layers of illusion that are responsible for the separation. The soul has the ability to choose whether it will continue to dwell in higher planes of existence or whether it will return to the physical plane as a guide or teacher, free from the constraints of karmic retribution. There is a gradual process of spiritual awakening and mastery that must be completed in order to achieve liberation. This process requires the soul to let go of attachments, resolve karma, and align itself with universal truths. Developing one's own self-awareness is the first step on the path to spiritual emancipation. It is necessary for the soul to perceive its patterns, desires, and anxieties, and to comprehend the ways in which these things connect it to the corporeal world. The soul is able to witness ideas and feelings without being caught in them through the practice of meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection, among other practices. Inner work frequently requires addressing unresolved karma and repairing scars from former lives. Forgiving others, seeking forgiveness from others, and letting go of resentment are all ways in which the soul might liberate itself from the energetic links that keep the cycle of reincarnation going back and forth. In order to keep the soul connected to the physical realm, attachments to people, goods, and results are necessary. The Hermetic principle of mentalism asserts that people's thoughts have the power to affect the world around them. In the process of clinging to material desires or worries, the soul strengthens its connection to the cycle of rebirth with each passing moment. The concept of detachment does not include giving up love or duty. Rather, it refers to the process of living life to the fullest without relying on other influences to bring about satisfaction. It is possible for a soul that is detached to love, genuinely labor with passion, and appreciate the beauty of life while remaining independent of the repercussions of such actions. A harmonious relationship with the universal laws that govern existence is necessary for liberation. The realization that every action causes ripples that influence the path of the soul, the comprehension of the connectivity of all things, and the behavior that honors this unity are some of the things that fall under this category. Increasing one's vibratory frequency by means of thoughts, feelings, and acts that resonate with love, truth, and harmony within oneself and the world. Through living in accordance with these laws, the soul is able to transcend the constraints of the physical world and become a conscious co-creator with the divine energy. Coming to terms with the fact that everything is interconnected is the final step on the path to ultimate emancipation. When the soul is in the material world, it has the perception that it is distinct from both other people and the divine. Through the process of awakening oneness, consciousness, this illusion is dispelled, so enabling the soul to perceive its true nature as a component of an endless whole. Meditation, prayer, and other forms of profound spiritual practice, as well as mystical experiences, are common ways in which this awakening often occurs. It is also possible for it to happen on its own, and it can be prompted by intense love, sorrow, or moments of illumination. At the point in time when the soul has acquired the knowledge it sought from the material world, it is able to achieve liberty. It is not the external factors that determine this milestone. Rather, it is the readiness of the soul to transcend that determines it. A soul that is getting closer to liberation will exhibit characteristics such as a lessened attachment to material success or failure, a profound sense of inner calm regardless of outward circumstances, and an unchanging love and compassion for all beings. These are all signs that the soul is getting closer to liberation. A yearning to visit the heavenly source or to serve others without regard for one's own interests. This is the sacred moment when the soul, having reflected in the space between worlds, chooses its next move. For some, this marks a passage into higher dimensions. realms of light, subtle energy, and infinite potential, where the soul can explore, create, and evolve beyond the limitations of form. Others may feel the call to return to Earth not out of obligation, but from a profound sense of compassion and purpose. These returning souls do not reincarnate because of karmic debt. Instead, they come as teachers, way showers, and guides, illuminated beings who have transcended the ordinary cycle of birth and rebirth. Throughout human history, figures like Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu, and many lesser-known mystics from diverse cultures have chosen to return. Their mission is not to escape, but to serve. They embody what are often called bodhisattvas or avatars, beings who renounce personal liberation in order to assist others in waking up. According to Hermetic philosophy and other mystical traditions, these souls carry the essence of divine wisdom, unconditional love, and transformative power. They serve as living bridges between the visible world and the invisible realms, helping others remember the truth of their origin and the freedom that awaits them. To the soul still walking the path of reincarnation, these enlightened beings are not just distant legends. They are mirrors of possibility. By observing their lives, by studying their words, and walking in their footsteps, we receive more than inspiration. We receive a map to liberation, to sovereignty, and to reunion with the infinite. So if you feel the stirring within you, if you sense that there is more to this life than meets the eye, then you are already awakening. You are already on the path. And if you're ready to explore these mysteries more deeply with me, to uncover what lies beneath the surface of our existence, then come closer. Hit that subscribe button and begin your journey into the hidden teachings of the soul.